It's Wednesday, January the 13th. My name is Pam, and welcome to the reading of the Mansfield News Journal. Let's begin our reading with the area deaths. Edmund G.S. Fulton Jr., 79 of Ashland, passed away at his residence. According to Ed's wishes, there will be no service or visitation. Paul A. Gansler, known as Skip, 77, a former Lake Gallion resident, passed away Saturday, January 9th at Magnolia Terrace in Gallion, where he had been a resident for the past 2 years. Following his wishes, there will be no calling hours or funeral. David Lee Grove, age 80, passed away Sunday, January 10th at Ohio Health Mansfield Hospital. As per David's wishes, no funeral service will be observed. Private funeral services will be held Saturday at 11 a.m. in the Shiloh Baptist Church, with his pastor, Bishop William Morris Jr., officiating. Friends may call at the church beginning at 9:30 until 10:30 a.m. Randy L. Zahner, 64, of Loudonville, passed away Thursday, January 7th at Ohio Health Mansfield following a brief illness. There will be no services held at this time. And that concludes the reading of the area desk for today. Why don't we begin now with our first article? Mears is appointed to County Commission by Monroe Trombley. Cliff Mears, president of Mansfield City Council, has been appointed to the Richland County Board of Commissioners, filling a seat vacated by Marilyn John. Mears, 67, appointed Wednesday by the Richland County Republican Party, will finish John's unexpired term of 2 years. He will serve alongside fellow Republicans Tony Vero and Darrell Banks, both of whom won re-election last year without opposition. I'm overwhelmed, flattered, and I'm going to work really darn hard at this job and for all candidates, Mears said in his acceptance speech. Mears will be sworn into office by John, who won election in November to Ohio's 2nd House District in the near future. He and 9 others, including former Lexington Mayor Gene Parkinson, submitted their name for consideration in filling the commissioner seat, but Mears received an overwhelming majority of votes cast by members of the Republican Party's Central Committee. Dale Hewlett, who ran for commissioner in 2018, received the second highest number of votes, with 9, compared to Mears' 33. Asked to explain his overwhelming support, Mears pointed to his track record of helping other party members. I've spent a lot of time campaigning for candidates when I'm not running, Mears told reporters. I knock on a lot of doors. I enjoy doing that because you meet such cool people. And when you're an elected official, councilman at large, and you're knocking on some of these doors for Tony Vero, Marilyn John, or Mark Romachuk, you can introduce yourself. So it helps the candidate, but it makes you visible as well. Mears said his job on council is similar to being commissioner. Both are a legislative-executive blend, he said. They have the same components: roads, waste treatment facilities. It's just representing more people. As president, Mears doesn't get to vote on legislation unless there's a tie. He cast the tie-breaking vote last year to sink a resolution that would have declared racism a public health crisis. The president of council also is the public face of the legislative body as they govern the public comment portion of each meeting. In his acceptance speech, Mears said it's important for Republicans to support one another. Whether you're on the ballot or not, you've got to be out there every day, he said. And Marilyn John always says, ABC, always be campaigning, whether it's for you or someone else. We've got to maintain a conservative movement, and that's my plan. In addition to Mears, Hewlett, and Parkinson, Joe Duncan, Michael McDaniel, Jerry Snee, Jacob Hamilton, Nathan Martin, Darren Roberts, and Greg Wasilowski also threw their hats in the ring to succeed John. Each were given 3 minutes to make their case to members of the GOP's Central Committee, gathered at Dan Lex Exchange. Others joined via Zoom. After a joint Q&A, a roll call vote was taken. For party members, the overriding concern on Wednesday appeared to be keeping the seat in 2 years. This seat tonight is not just about the commissioner's seat, Vero said, addressing the men before him during the Q&A. It's about bringing forward electable candidates throughout the throughout the county. At one point, Richland County Prosecutor Gary Bishop effectively made the other candidates compare themselves to Mears, asking each to tell him why they were more conservative, fiscally responsible, and electable than Mears. Some ducked the question of who's more conservative, while others said they were at least just as conservative, but probably not more. The party's Central Committee will appoint someone to serve out the remainder of Mears' 4-year term on council. He was elected in 2019 to the position while in the midst of his second term as an at-large councilman. Mears was first appointed to the at-large seat in 2012, elected to a full term in 2013, and re-elected 4 years later. Before jumping into politics, Mears worked for Westinghouse, R.R. Donnelley & Sons, General Motors, and retired from Skybox Packaging. He also taught communication courses at the University of Toledo and at North Central State College for more than 20 years. A Toledo native, he moved to Mansfield almost 4 decades ago. Also on Tuesday, the Republican Party's Executive Committee appointed Megan Wattman to the Richland County Board of Elections. Karen Browning decided against seeking re-election. School building projects continue. Up next, civil rights activist McDowell dies at 78 by Monroe Trombley. Wayne McDowell, an educator, union leader, and lifelong civil rights activist whose lawsuit resulted in minorities and women being able to break through the glass ceiling of the state corrections department, died Wednesday at his home in Mansfield. He was 78. McDowell, while a teacher at the Ohio State Reformatory, was offered lower pay than a white co-worker with the same qualifications and less seniority, according to a newsletter published by the North End Community Improvement Collaboration. He sued the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections in 1977, alleging the department discriminated against women and blacks when hiring and promoting. The case became known as McDowell versus Celeste after then Governor Richard Celeste. The sex discrimination part of the lawsuit was settled in 1988, and the race discrimination portion was settled in 1990. Despite his work, McDowell didn't qualify to receive any of the monetary awards that accompanied the lawsuit settlements, according to previous News Journal reporting. He was always doing something in that community, said Marcia Webb, former president of the Mansfield chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. And it was never self-serving, she added. Wayne was a worker. He cared nothing about title or position. In fact, he shied away from it. The discrimination lawsuit wasn't the only one in which McDowell was involved. He was also active in the effort to close the old reformatory because of its poor environment for officers and inmates. As the NAACP liaison to the Council for Human Dignity at the reformatory, McDowell helped inmates in their class action suit that led to OSR's closure, according to previous News Journal reporting. Webb first met McDowell after joining the NAACP in 1989 and came away impressed. At that time, the police brutality was just ridiculous, Webb recalls. They would beat inmates in the jail for sport, she said in an interview. On the weekend, you knew somebody was going to get picked up and somebody was going to get beat down in the jail. Sometimes they died. Sometimes they didn't. It was not good. The pair, as members of the NAACP's Labor and Industry Committee, met with employers who faced allegations of disparate treatment of minorities. The NAACP would often support employees as they filed complaints with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Webb said. I would sit and watch Wayne, and I mean, the man was brilliant, she said. You want to say that Wayne was putting up a whooping on them, Webb continued, but he didn't. He just beat them up with facts. And how can you excuse facts? McDowell would often recite a quote from the late Reverend Henry Washington, Webb said. Stand for something, or you'll fall for anything, she said. His life mission was to stamp out racial discrimination and social injustice wherever it reared its ugly head. Wayne McDowell was born July 13, 1942 in Mansfield, the eighth of 10 children, including a twin brother named Wyatt. McDowell graduated from Mansfield Senior High School in 1960. 2 years later, he began taking classes at The Ohio State University, Mansfield, while working full-time. McDowell commuted to the University of Akron, then commuted to OSU's main campus in Columbus, where he received his bachelor's in labor economics in 1969. He received his master's in adult education in 1972 from OSU. McDowell was barely past being a teenager when he first got involved in the Mansfield NAACP chapter during the 60s. We'd go to certain retail places in Mansfield, and you couldn't try on clothing or shoes, McDowell told the News Journal in 2002. You'd hope they fit. In North Lake Park, there was a swimming pool. They made it a private swim club so no blacks could swim there. There was a lack of job opportunities. Many young black people were leaving town. The NAACP led local efforts to fight racism, including boycotting racist shops. We did selective buying. We knew from word of mouth where you were treated badly and simply did not go there, McDowell said in 2002. As he got older, McDowell would help victims of police brutality or people with civil rights cases, both in his personal and professional capacity as an NAACP member. McDowell was a mentor to many who joined the NAACP, including Lionel Wainwright, warden of Marion Correctional Institution. I admired his ability to take on challenging issues, Wainwright said in a statement. On a personal level, he was a caregiver and a father figure to many. In 2000, McDowell retired from teaching at Mansfield Correction Institute, which replaced OSR in 1990 when it closed, after 33 years. He was the first person to teach 30 years within the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation's Ohio Central School System, according to his obituary. A year after his retirement, McDowell hinted during an honorary dinner that his work was far from done, and he didn't lie. At the turn of the century, McDowell was instrumental in the fight to put an issue on the ballot to create an independent police review commission. Supported by the NAACP, the Mansfield Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, and the AFL-CIO. The effort failed in 2000 and 2001 due to a lack of valid signatures. The proposal, finally put to voters in 2002, was rejected. Less than 6 weeks before residents voted on the initiative, then Mayor Lydia Reed unveiled the city's own plan to establish a panel overseeing police-community relations. The Mansfield Police Review and Community Police Relations Commission was established in 2004. It reviews completed police department investigations that involve contact between police employees and residents to determine if the investigation was thorough, accurate, credible, and impartial, according to the city's ordinance on the commission. More recently, McDowell founded in 2019 the Black-Brown Coalition of Mansfield, which consists of We Act, Latino Mansfield, Voices of Change, Activism and Leadership, Vocal, and the North End Community Improvement Collaborative, or the NECIC. His brother John was a police officer for 27 years and became Mansfield Police Department's first black detective at the age of 25. The coalition and city leaders last year signed a code of conduct which sets forth standards of behavior that police and community members should aspire to when interacting with one another. Mr. McDowell was a very strong advocate for the NAACP, along with the Black and Brown Coalition, to which I'm sure his presence will be greatly missed, said Mansfield Police Chief Keith Porch in a statement. Betty Palmer Harris, former president of the NAACP's Mansfield chapter, knew McDowell for over 4 decades. McDowell, when she spoke to him 2 days before he died, said he planned to write a book. You couldn't even sit him down at all, Palmer Harris said in an interview. Between the church and the NAACP, you couldn't stop him from those two things. Alamar Davenport, elected as 4th Ward Councilman in 2019, said the best way to honor McDowell is to continue to build upon the foundation he laid. The impact of the loss of Mr. McDowell has on the community is immeasurable, but neither is what he gave us, Davenport said in a statement. He showed us if we are persistent, despite the obstacles, things can be accomplished. Although it's really hard to top that wonderful article, let's move on. A woman gets 3 years for conveying drugs. In Mansfield, a 25-year-old city woman was sentenced Friday to 3 years in prison for trying to smuggle drugs into the Richland County Jail. Grace Markley was convicted of illegal conveyance of drugs, aggravated trafficking in drugs, and aggravated possession of drugs. On July 20th, county jail staff got word that Markley, a former contracted kitchen worker, was going to try to convey drugs into the jail. Upon her entry to the jail, Markley was found to have methamphetamines. And there you go. Up next, first phase expected to be completed this spring by Mark Cotto. The first part of the district's 7th through 12th building projects should be completed this spring. This year will see major progress towards our new facility and will add to the excitement of a long-awaited 2021, Superintendent Jeremy Seacrest posted on the school website. The project has been divided into 2 parts, an early site package and a building package. Through the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission's Expedited Local Partnership Program, the district can use its local share of the construction project to build one of 2 new schools while it waits for state money. Residents approved an $8.6 million bond issue for $55.95 million in November 2018. The issue included an $0.5 million maintenance levy. Plans are to replace the 5 current buildings with 2 new ones, a pre-K through 6 building and a 7 through 12 building. Because the 7 through 12 building will be constructed where the baseball and softball fields sat, there's a need for new fields. The fields will be south of the new school. Other facilities at the athletic complex will be a concession stand, support buildings, and soccer fields. The early site package has a scheduled completion date of May of this year, Seacrest told the News Journal. As of Wednesday, masonry on 3 of the 4 dugouts has been finished. Work on the concession stand masonry has begun. In addition, installation of the steel columns and roof support beams for the dugout have started. Eslick Wrecking has been back on site to finish the demolition scope of the project by taking down the electrical building. Further site and electrical work also is well underway. For more information and photos, you can go to the district's website at lexington.k12.oh.us. Seacrest's post was his first of the new year on the website. If ever we needed to turn a page on a year, it was definitely 2020, he wrote. Thank you for your continued support of our schools, staff, and students. I am looking forward to a brighter, healthier, and happier 2021. While we were preparing for and celebrating the holidays, work was continuing here on our new 7 through 12 building behind our existing high school. Our next article, Ice Sculptures and Sunshine Draw Crowds. Loudonville Sparkles During Scaled Back Event by Jerry Goebel. Technically, the event in downtown Loudonville on Saturday wasn't even the Mohican Winterfest. The annual event, scaled back this year because of COVID-19 restrictions, was officially the Mohican Ice Sculptures and Shop Hop. The swarm of people who took advantage of the sunny winter day to enjoy the 32 ice sculptures scattered through downtown didn't seem to care. Temperatures hovered around the freezing mark as the event got started at 11 a.m., then climbed closer to 40 degrees as the afternoon progressed. Susan Levine drove an hour and a half from Sherrodville, a small town east of New Philadelphia, with her husband, grandson, sister, and brother-in-law for the event. We took a day trip because it's beautiful today, and we've never been here, she said. They heard about the event and decided to make a Saturday out of it. I'm so impressed. These are gorgeous, she said of the ice sculptures. Beautiful, absolutely. And the town is adorable. It's like a Hallmark movie. You just want to go into every store and support them. Everyone should come out and support your local merchants. Like most visitors, Levine and her family made their way through downtown slowly, pausing to admire each sculpture. They took plenty of photos of grandson Hunter Hinckley, who's 6, too. It's really been worth it, she said. One area of downtown that wasn't quite as busy as usual was Central Park, where Steve Hughes and his young right-hand assistant Sophie Truax were handing out free hot chocolate provided by the United Methodist Church, which also was offering a carry-out meal. It's been a little bit slow going, Hughes said. Typically, they've had an ice sculpture going on here, but they didn't do that this year. They usually have more people, Sophie added. A ton of people. We've got ideal weather. Unfortunately, we've got other issues to deal with, as you well know, Hughes said. I didn't even know if we were going to be able to have the Winterfest at all. People gathered at the village's Halloween activities in October, so planners tried to limit the potential for crowds this weekend, he said. The pandemic also altered plans for the church's annual meal during the event. This year, the menu included 2 kinds of soup, sloppy joes, and brownies, the pair said. They've always done a meal, but because of the pandemic and restrictions, it's a carryout as opposed to actually going in and sitting down, Hughes said. Although the park was quiet, downtown's stores and restaurants were bustling as people stepped inside to explore the offerings and get warm. Angie Heimberger, owner of Four Seasons Flowers and Gifts at 221 West Main Street, said her business had seen a steady flow of customers all day, with lots of new faces. We definitely need this for our small town. It brings people in, she said. January is always a slow month for all of us vendors, so this is definitely one of the main events of the winter after Christmas that keeps our sales flowing. The weather was ideal for ice sculptures, Heimberger said. It's just cold enough to keep them frozen, but warm enough where people can be out and about, she said, then chuckled. And it's not in the 60s like it has been for so many years. Some of the events didn't happen, but I'm glad we decided to move forward. As you can see, we've had a nice flow of people. I think there's a lot of spectators of all ages out enjoying it. And now let's talk about local news briefs. The Richland County Foundation has a variety of scholarship opportunities for graduating high school seniors and current college students from Richland County. New applicants, including high school seniors, must have at least a 2.5 grade point average, or GPA, and returning applicants must have at least a 2.0 GPA, attend an accredited school, and be a resident or high school graduate of Richland County. The deadline for college scholarship applications is April 1st. The Foundation Board of Trustees also awards Career Technical Education or CTE scholarships to individuals who want to obtain certifications and credentials at accredited technical institutions. These are not reoccurring scholarships, so students must reapply each year. College and CTE scholarships are based on financial need. For more information, visit richlandcountyfoundation.org or contact Community Investment Officer Sierra Marth at 419-525-3020 or smarth, M-A-R-T-H, at rcfoundation.org. And now, the MRCPL to host Black History Celebration virtually. The Mansfield Richland County Public Library will have its 30th annual Black History Celebration on February 6th. While there will be no in-person events at the main library, but there will be a virtual event scheduled full of free activities for all ages. The events include a free celebratory take-home meal prepared by Mansfield's The Food Lab, owned and operated by Walter Bonham. Meals will be available for pickup while supplies last at the following 3 parking lot locations: Kingdom Grace Fellowship Church at 105 Reba Avenue, the MRCPL public parking lot off Mulberry Street, and Providence Baptist Church, 112 West 6th Street. There will also be a performance by the Jewel Jewels Praise Dancers of Shiloh Baptist Church, Facebook Live Storytime presented by members of the community, and a Zoom discussion about mental health that requires registration via the library's website calendar. In addition to the live events, MRCPL is offering Black History themed take-home craft kits while supplies last. The kits can be picked up 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on February 6th at all 9 MRCPL branch locations. Kits also will be available at all 3 meal distribution locations. The library's website will host several additional opportunities to celebrate Black History Month, including heritage stories and photographs of past and current Richland County residents. To add a story or photo, visit the event website. The library will offer a downloadable list of African American owned and operated businesses in the community. To be added to the list, visit the event website or call 419-521-3145. For more information on the Black History Celebration, visit the event webpage at mrcpl.org/BHC2021. And well, friends, that concludes the reading of the Mansfield News Journal for Wednesday, January the 13th. This is Pam saying thank you for having me into your home today. Please stay safe, be blessed, and make it a great day.